Hi, welcome to Pearls of Motherhood. I'm your host, Tessie.
And I'm your host, Diana. Today, we're talking about something almost every modern mom struggles with: social media and the decision to share or not to share our kids' lives online. We live in a time where posting pictures of our kids feels almost second nature. But with that comes lots of questions. Is it safe? Will the kids resent it later? Wait, am I overthinking it? And honestly, the answers aren't one size fits all.
Yeah, in our own families, we've made the choice to keep our kids' faces off social media. But before we explain why, we want to make it very clear that if you do share your kids online, that's okay too. Like we are, a big theme of our show is every mother is unique. So there's no one size fits all. And many parents do, and they have thoughtful, meaningful reasons for it. So today we'll talk about why some parents choose to share, why some don't, and what experts say on both sides. So no judgment, no shame, just an open conversation about what works best for each of us. But before we do, let's do mom facts and book corners.
So, mom facts. Did you know that 75% of moms use social media daily? A study has found that 75% of moms are active on social media every day, making them one of the most engaged demographics online. And second mom fact we get to today, the average mom or parent posts almost 1,500 photos of their child before the age of 5. So, according to a UK study, the average child has 1,500 images shared online before their 5th birthday. And that's often before they even understand what social media is. That's bananas. But I mean,
Wow.
can you really blame them? I mean, they're proud of their kids. I get that. I totally understand that. And honestly, I am one of those. I'm on social media daily. I do the scrolling.
Yeah, I go on social media daily. It's usually to keep up in my groups or see what's going on in my town, stuff
Mhm.
like that, because I'm not a poster really on social media. I don't post. But holy smokes, 1,500 photos
Yeah.
before 5. I could see that because I have friends who post everything that their kids do, which I get. Like their kids are cute, they're
Mhm.
doing cute things or they're accomplishing things and stuff like that, or they're doing, I can see why. And then sometimes it takes more than one photo, and that is just, I didn't know that.
Me neither. I was shocked. I mean, that averages out to what, 300 photos per year. That's like a photo a day because it's
Oh my
365 days a year. That's almost a photo a day. That's
God.
crazy.
Wow,
It's a
that's
lot.
shocking.
Yeah.
That's it. Just like my mind goes to like, where are all those images? Like, who has access to all those images? You know that they nowadays with like AI and stuff, they probably are taking those photos and like categorizing them and making a profile of you. And this is like my paranoid brain, but I'm pretty sure they do this. And then they track your like growth, your baby's growth over time with their face. I don't know. Like,
Well, I that's not too
who knows
far.
what?
So I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I decided, hey, let me recreate my personal profile on Facebook. So I recreated it and they flagged me. They said, "Oh, you're not a real person." They said, "You're AI." And so they denied me access even though I asked them to audit it and say, "No, I'm a real person." Facebook denied me and they said, don't try again because we have your face. So I did try it
Oh,
just to see
wow.
how it goes. So I started a new one and put another photo of me and they denied it. So they
Oh my
actually
gosh.
have my face. Yeah. And they said,
Yeah.
no, no to
So
that face.
have you seen that TED Talks where the guy takes like a bunch of different images of President Obama from the internet, just
Mm-mm.
random images. And you can, apparently they can do this nowadays. He just takes photos of him from the internet and he created an entire video of Obama giving the speech that he never gave, that he just created using the pictures from the internet.
Oh,
Can you
that
believe
is
that? You should look
that's
it up.
crazy.
I don't
That's
know what it's
psychotic.
called. I know. But
What
it's
is
a
it
TED
called?
Talk. I don't know.
I love TED Talks.
I'll look for it. It's a
Okay.
TED Talk, and it's has to do in the tech space, obviously. And I saw this a while ago, but it was so creepy.
That's crazy. I love TED Talks. I so want to go to a
Me
recording
too.
of one.
I
That's like
love
one of
them.
my goals.
Yeah.
We'll cross that off of our bucket list together. If either one of us gets tickets, we're going.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our mom facts.
So in book corners, okay, everybody, I'm pretty sure, especially from our generation and beyond, knows The Little Engine That Could, right?
Love that book.
That was my favorite book growing up. It's so funny. I used to make my mom read it all the time, and now my kids make me read it all the time. And I'm like, really? There's so many words that repeat. I don't want to read this. But
It's very long. It's very wordy.
It's very wordy, and it's all the same words, so I skip a lot of words. But I love the whole aspect of the book. Like, I love the whole she doesn't believe that
the message.
The message. All the words I can do without, but the message is what's
Well, okay, I have to admit, so I loved that book as a kid, and I got it for my first book for my daughter as Imagination Library. That's it. Dolly Parton sent it, and it was my daughter's first book. I was so excited, and she loves it too. But I abridge it. I cut out quite a few of the words because she doesn't have the attention span yet. She will one day.
Yeah.
But the repetition of words is great because when they're learning to read, seeing that repetition makes them feel accomplished. I think it's actually one of the first books I learned how to read too. So I have to ask my mom about that.
It's such a classic book with a great storyline, I guess. You know, it's definitely more wordy than it has to be. I'm kind of the kind of person that's like, if it can be said in 2 sentences, let's not drag it out in 5 paragraphs, you know, type of thing. But sometimes it's necessary, I guess.
Like if you're
at the end of the day,
if you're filling up a scholarly page or something like that, yes.
If you're trying to get a psychology degree, yes, you want to take 2 sentences and turn it into 5 pages.
Yeah.
But
but we're moms.
Anywhere else in life, no.
We're moms. We don't have time for that.
We don't have time for that.
But it is a great book, yes.
Yes, and like you said, if you're not signed up for the Imagination Library, we've talked about this before, definitely go to your library and sign up. And this will actually be the first book that you get because it's a great story.
Or just go online. I didn't do it through my library. I did it online at imaginationlibrary.com.
There you go.
Yep. And
it's more efficient.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is that my local United Way works with Imagination Library and they fund the books. So it's actually from a local place. Yeah. It's
That's
really
great.
cool.
I always wondered who funded the books. Like, was it Dolly Parton? Were they donated? I always wondered that.
Well, so I contacted the United Way who was supplying these books, and I asked them, how can I help? And they told me that I can make a charitable donation. $30 supplies one child for the year with books. $30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
It's amazing. So of course I signed up. I said yes. How many kids am I going to sponsor this year? Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's a good cause. Literacy. That's what we need in this country.
We do. That's a great book. Love that choice.
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay, so into our topic today. Why do some moms choose to share our kids online and why some don't? Like Tessie and I, we've been very transparent about it. We have chosen not to share our children's faces online. And we have our reasons. And those of you who do share your kids online, that's wonderful. We love seeing your kids online. It's heartwarming. And you have your reasons too. But that's something that we want to address in this topic, why we do and why we don't.
Yeah. I mean, social media is really a great way to connect with your community, to connect with family who's far away, friends who are distant that they don't get to see your kids every day.
Mhm.
And parenting can be really isolating, like we've talked about. And social media does help moms connect and share struggles and build support systems. And I know, and there are privacy settings. So if you're just posting these things on your own personal page, it's definitely a lot safer. So, and if it's just for your friends and just for your family, and it is like a faster way to kind of spread the word.
Mhm.
It's something that I don't have. So I can understand like the efficiency and the appeal of it,
Mhm.
where there is something that like you want to shout out to the world. We all want to shout out to the world how great and cute and adorable our kids are. Who doesn't want to do that? But you don't want to sit there and send a text to everybody like individually.
Or put
So
everyone in a mass text, because not everyone wants that.
They'll get annoyed with that.
Yeah.
So it is a great way to connect and to share your kids and your life. Like your kids are your life. So that's pretty much your life, you know?
Yeah. It's a great way to keep, your loved ones in the loop, because we don't all live near the grandparents and aunts and uncles or even friends. Like Tessie and I, we live across the country from each other, but we like to know what's going on. So by sharing your kids online, it's a fast, efficient way to have your family feel more connected to each other. And that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you could share milestones and the family feels like they're part of that,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And one of the cool things that I feel like a lot of moms who do share a lot that they have is the digital memories, which I
Yeah.
don't have. I don't
Mhm.
have that. And I remember when I was on social media before kids, it was cool, like going back and looking back on my life of what I did post.
Mhm.
But you get to go back and look at as your kids grow and you see them change, and
Mhm.
it's like a modern day baby book
Yeah.
documenting everything. I totally see the appeal in that. I think that's awesome.
And isn't it awesome, like, when you look back, like, on this day, like, on Instagram or Facebook, you could say, wow, that was a year ago. Look how far we've come. And that's really exciting. It makes you feel great as a parent, because you did something. You did something beautiful.
Yeah, especially if you're a parent who's trying to raise awareness or has a child who's struggling with something or has a disability that they're working on, or challenges, parenting challenges, issues. And then you get to see from a year before all of the hard work that you put in, and now you get to see it kind of fruitioning. That's a
Mhm.
really cool place to be. And so some people use social media for that, to build awareness or advocacy about something that they're struggling with, to actually help other people in the same situation. So you're not so isolated.
Mhm. Yeah. And if you're one of those parents who are sharing your kids online, that's great. But there are some best practices that we should keep in mind. Like Tessie said, using private accounts and using your privacy settings wisely. Avoid sharing your locations, school names, and really overly personal details that you don't want people who don't know you to kind of track you. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
that. And also consider using a nickname instead of your real name.
Mm-hmm.
You can put your real name in captions, but create a nickname for yourself so no one can outright search you if you don't want to be searched.
Yeah. And for those of you who aren't interested in, sharing your kids, there are other ways to keep digital footprints, I guess, of that. There's like that journal app on the iPhone
Mm-hmm.
that you can upload pictures and put a little caption. It's literally just like social media, except for it's just private. So you can go back and look at it's really awesome. Or there's things that you can pay for, like Keepsake. It's spelled with a
Mm-hmm.
Q. And they're kind of cool because they ask you questions. You have to pay for it, but they'll text you a question and then you will like respond, and they put together everything for you. Like you can send them pictures, but then that kind of like borders on, okay, well, you're giving it to another big tech company. And I think that's a lot of the reason why some moms don't do it. because they don't want to share their kids with big tech. So yeah, but there's options. There's other ways.
Yep. One of the big reasons that, well, I chose to keep my daughter off of social media is because of her digital footprint and whether she will consent in the future. Because everything we post becomes part of our child's online identity, which is not something that, we had to deal with growing up because we didn't get the internet until we were adults, and we could consent. We could create our AOL accounts and I forget, before Facebook, some other MySpace account or something like that. Yeah. We consented to that because we were adults at the time. But when we put our kids on it, we're doing it for them. So is that what they would want? And so that's something I keep in the back of my head for why I keep my daughter off of social media.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the consent is huge. And I've shared this before on previous episodes about a mom in one of my mops groups whose kids like never wanted their picture taken anymore because they realized that she was just taking them to put them on Facebook. And at a certain age, they didn't like that. And so if that happens, I feel like you should respect the child and like not do that. But my main reason why is for online safety concerns. Once a photo is online, who knows who has access to that? Nobody knows. It can be copied, shared. You can like right click on photos and it can literally tell you when it was created, the name, where you were, all kinds of stuff. And like I said earlier, they can take certain number of photos and create an entirely fake person video of you saying or doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's crazy.
That's creepy.
It is. And even if you have your privacy sharing to only like friends and family, for example, for them to see a photo of your child, that person who has access can share it on their timeline, and everyone that they let to see their stuff can see that photo.
True.
So if I posted something and like my mom shared it on her timeline, I know she's set to public because I don't think she knows how to set it to private.
No.
Which is okay, Mom. That's okay. Everyone can see it. And that's not something I really want. And it's really funny that you mentioned that about your friends' kids not wanting to get their photo taken to be put online. My daughter has now started that she doesn't want her photo taken, period. She goes, no pictures, no video. And to me, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not posting this anywhere. This is for me. So suck it up. But, but excuse me, that's my choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they are children. They don't get a say.
But I'm thinking of her future self. Does she really want a picture of her running around in a diaper when she's trying to apply to maybe a university or something? I don't think so.
I mean, the thing is that can you imagine being a teenager? And this is what teenagers face nowadays. Every little stupid little thing that you do, every little bad photograph of you or photograph you don't like, or every mistake that you make or poor decision is like forever out there on the internet potentially. And my whole thing is like, I actually have a huge problem with people who post photos of other people without their permission.
There's concerns about child exploitation. I forgot what I was watching, but it was about a mom. She was on a show with someone, and she was talking about how she went to her neighbor's house, and this neighbor has no children. She walks into this neighbor's house, and there are pictures of her children, not that woman's children, because she has no children, her own children, looking like they belong to her. And these were photos that the mom had posted on her own page. And she thought that this person was a friend. And this woman, she stole these kids' images and pretended like these were her own children. How creepy is that?
So creepy. And like nowadays with the ability of what the computers can do, for all you know, the people could take your kid's face and put it on like a naked kid's body. If your
Oh.
kid's like super cute, they can get a ton of money for like a cute quote unquote like kid. I'm assuming like people probably who are into that want a cuter kid, not an ugly kid, So like just imagine the things they can do digitally with just the face, or just like you could just crop images. You could take a child and you could make it look like they're naked with a adult. I don't know.
Yeah.
What
it's disturbing.
any of these. It's very disturbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything is possible now.
I mean, so if you ever see on my page, it's going to be like the back of my daughter's head.
Yeah.
or
exactly.
her little hand or her little foot. That's about it. You don't see anything that really identifies her. And I think a lot of celebrity moms do that too. I think Kristen Bell, she and her husband, they block out their kids' faces on social media. I get that because they want to preserve their privacy. I think Priyanka Chopra does that too.
Something to think about if you are a mom who likes to post everything about your kid. Like, it's okay. But if you do happen to get another child in your photo, like if you're at a play group or at the park or something, I think it's a good idea to either be respectful and ask for permission, or just block out the other child's face, because you just don't really know who is okay with it and who is not, unless you're like good friends with them and you know that they post their kid all over the internet too. Then you know that they're okay with it. But even still, you don't know that, because like, what if they don't want their kid on your timeline, So it's like, it's something to think about, just to be considerate, because not everybody does post their kid.
Another reason why I choose to keep my daughter offline is because I want to keep certain memories private. I just want it to be just for us, because there are just some things like, do we really need a picture of my daughter covered in cupcake all over the internet? No, it's a really cute moment. I want that for me. I don't need the whole world to see it. I'm just happy letting her be a kid. That's it.
Yeah. And I've heard that we actually miss a lot of things when we're like, if we were just in the moment in these situations, we would gather a lot more of it like in our memory. But because we're like behind the phone and trying to get the perfect picture and trying to get the perfect recording, we actually miss a lot by doing that.
Yeah.
And because it's taking us away from the moment. And potentially you could go down this road that it is like putting this into your child's head that these devices, these phones and everything, are more important than the moment that you're having with them. And maybe kids do feel that, and they feel resentment about that. I don't know. I mean, just imagine, have you ever been I feel like I'm always asking these questions. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like with somebody in the same room, or even at dinner with somebody or something, and they go on their phone, and it's just like, it's super awkward. And
hi, I'm here.
Yeah. And then it makes you like really uncomfortable. So then you just go on your phone, and it's like,
and now no one's talking.
And I know in my situation, like if my husband goes on the phone when we're just like sitting at the dinner table, just hanging out or whatever, it really makes me feel like he's not present with me. And so if we're constantly doing this to our kids, going on our devices, I really try not to do this, but I'm not perfect at this, but it's really something to think about and be mindful about, that these devices, what do you want your kid to be focusing on when they're adults? Do you want them to be addicted to these phones because they saw us addicted to them, or constantly feeling like they have to get the pressure to take a perfect photo, they have to perform perfectly? I do feel like kids feel this way, because I can only imagine if you're a mom taking a picture, you never get a perfect picture, but like that's all you see on social media. So how do they get a perfect picture, especially with 4 kids, There's got to be a lot of pressure put on the kids for that. And you got to think about the long-term effects of that. So that's what I think about anyways, when I'm like, that's my decision not to do that. I don't want to do that to them, to their mental health.
We do other things to them, but we're trying to take that one off your plate, Betty. You're welcome.
like, you know how like your parents will joke and be like, "Oh, I'm going to show you this naked baby picture of you in the bath to your first girlfriend or something,
or your prom date, or your soon to be, spouse." Oh boy.
Yes. So that was like a huge like, "Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that, Mom." Well, now could you imagine if all of that's all over the internet and that as maybe you're a teenager and that all of your naked baby photos are all over the internet? How embarrassing would that be?
Or like an ugly moment. Let's say and everyone has a bad moment. Every child has a tantrum every now and then, but does that mean that they are, not a happy kid? No, but that's what's depicted and that's what people see. And now they're categorized as troublesome, difficult. And that's not fair either.
Yeah, that's not fair.
So some practices for parents who do keep their kids offline like us, we use family sharing apps. Tiny Beans is one of them, and they only share private photos, and that's up to you. Read their privacy laws and all that, so you know what you're getting into. Create a physical or a digital scrapbook instead of using social media.
Yeah.
If you can scrapbook, I think that's one of the best things ever. My sister-in-law, for my daughter's first birthday, she chronicled her entire first year. I loved it. It's one of my most favorite keepsakes.
Those are the best.
They are, because it's something physical, and that there was love put into it. It's my most favorite keepsake from her first year. And also include your kids in the decision if they're old enough. Ask them how they feel about it as they grow up, and they will probably have an opinion. Even at a very young age, they will let you know.
Yeah. It is interesting to think about. I don't know what the future is for, like, maybe there's kids in the situation, but like if you're a kid that's raised with your mother or your parent constantly posting you on Facebook, when you get to the age where you have Facebook, then do you now feel that pressure or that need to constantly post on, like, do you feel like you even have an alternative, or is that just the way of life? And then that's not a good pressure to have as an adult, feeling like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if we've been in this experiment long enough,
Yeah. What are the repercussions?
What are the repercussions? Yeah. It's an interesting, like, theological thing. I don't know if that's the word. Philosophy. I don't know.
It is, because like you said, this is a social experiment. How is this all going to turn out? For the first time, we're raising kids online, and it has great points and not great points. So who's going to win out? And is there a winner? We don't really know.
Yeah. Like, what's the youngest age right now of kids who don't know life without social media? So I think, what did it come out in, like 2009 or something, or 2010? Was that when Facebook came around? Or maybe it was
before that.
sooner.
No, before that. It was
5 or 6.
I was still it was my first year in college, so in the late 90s, I believe. God, I'm dating myself.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe early 2000s.
I thought it was like early 2000s. So, well, we could just say like early 2000s. Yeah. So let's say 2005 if you were born. So how old would you be if you were born in 2005? You'd be 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much like the first generation. We're just getting adults from that generation who doesn't know life without social media really in their life. And that's going to be an interesting experiment as they get older.
Yeah, and they're still babies. They're 20. They can't legally drink yet.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So, like, what is their relationship, I guess you could say, with social media versus our relationship? Our relationship, we didn't have social media for most of our life. It's only been like the second half of our life so far that we've even had social media. And it was very different in the beginning. Very different. It wasn't pictures. It wasn't groups. It was literally just, you would just type out your feelings. For these young moms out there, they're going to be like, you're so old. But like the first Facebook was, you actually had to have a college account, like a college email account And all it was just a journal kind of where you would just type what you were feeling. That's all it was.
Yep.
And people would follow you. And I don't even know if there was comments or likes or anything. I don't even know. I
I
wasn't
think there
really
was
part of it.
likes, and then they called pokes because we couldn't send emojis, but there were pokes, like someone would like tap you on the shoulder type of thing. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it was very minimalist, which
Mhm.
in my opinion, the perfect social media would be minimalist. There wouldn't be likes. There wouldn't be all of these dopamine receptors, because that really is what the social media posting is all about. You're obviously posting it to get something out of it. I don't feel like anybody's just posting it just to post it. Like, what would be the point of that? And they have figured this out, that you get dopamine when you get likes, when you get comments, and the more you get, and it becomes this crazy addiction where then you need more likes, or then you compare. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think
Because
about all that?
well, it is true. It is a dopamine reaction because it's a reward system, right? We want approval. So we post it and someone likes it and we get a rush. We're like, oh yeah, someone liked it. Someone likes, they're connecting with it. And that's a great feeling because we do want community. But what's the cost? Because as you post more, your self-worth kind of gets tied into it. Oh, someone didn't like it that much, or I didn't get as many likes as I did the other one. How do I recreate that? And it's kind of a black hole.
Yeah. And so just take that, that pressure on yourself, and then you're putting that pressure on your children, probably unconsciously and unknowingly, I would imagine. It's not necessary. Or what if your kid doesn't get as much likes as one of your friends or something, and then all of a sudden now you're comparing, like, oh, my kid's not as cute, or oh my gosh, I just can't even imagine. I could just go down this rabbit hole of all of these really detrimental things. Does the good outweigh the bad? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. And finding that balance is up to you. What is right for your family is what's right for you. And that's the most important part. So there are some moms who will share occasionally, like just like the big milestones, but not the everyday moments, the big birthdays. Hey, they walked for the first time, or going off to school, or graduation, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And others use private accounts like we talked about, and just share with your close family and friends. And that's it. And some moms share in groups, like public groups, and they're comfortable with that. But it's just whatever you're comfortable with as their mother.
Yeah, because no choice is right or wrong. It's all about what makes you feel comfortable. You do what's right for your family. But there are some tips for a healthier relationship on social media. So pause before posting. Ask yourself, am I posting it because I want to, or because I am feeling pressure? That's a good one.
Good question. Yeah. Well, I remember when I used to post a lot on social media, just my life, and there was so much pressure for the picture to be perfect, And that's the thing about motherhood. Like, none of it is perfect. Like, none of it. And maybe occasionally, like once a year, I'll get like a professional picture, and not even all my kids will be smiling, but it'll be like the best picture that I've gotten all year of everybody.
Everyone's looking in the same direction.
I could show you some pictures of my third boy, who's going to grow up to be a comedian. I'm convinced of it. But yeah, you got to have like respect and boundaries. So as your kids grow, you can involve them in the decision of like what's shared. Do they want to be shared? If they don't, I don't know. I think you should respect that and just share your own life. Let them share their life when they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's something that you're proud of that you did, and that's reasserting yourself as your own person, not just as a mom, but it's going into the other dimensions of who you are. And we talked about that on another episode, your mom identity. So you can talk about yourself, but also remember that motherhood happens offline. Your most important moments don't need to be shared to be special. Every moment is special, even the ones when they're running around without a diaper. And they think it's funny. You're just trying to get a diaper on them. That's special because one day, hopefully, when she's a teenager, she doesn't do that.
Yeah. And speaking of the special moments, what is so ironic and great about motherhood is it's in the moments that you feel like are the least desirable, least portrayed as being the best moments that you actually look back on. And those are the best moments in raising your kids, right? Because I remember when my very first was born and he was like maybe a month old, and I wanted to go get just some family pictures at the lake. And so my friend came and she was just going to take some pictures with my camera, and we went out to the lake and he just screamed the entire time. He was not happy. He was just screaming the entire time. And we just took the pictures anyways, right? I was so upset in the moment. I was like so sad that I didn't have this perfectly portrayed social media worthy picture of me and my brand new baby, who was the cutest thing on the planet.
He was.
And family photo and perfect backdrop and all this. But you know what happened? Like probably maybe like a year later, I had my real estate license. And so once he was a little older, I kind of got into, maybe I'm going to do this real estate thing, and I had cards made, and I literally used that picture of him screaming in my card. And it was the biggest hit. Everybody loved that card with that picture of the little 1-month-old like screaming his head off. So like motherhood, it isn't about like proving anything to the world or being perfect. Actually, motherhood is about like being imperfect. The imperfections is what makes motherhood so glorious.
Yeah, it's true. And let us know out there, what are your favorite motherhood moments that happened offline?
Yes, would love that. Just stories like that. Like, and I love the moments where in the moment you're just like freaking out on the inside, or you're so upset because it's not turning out the way that you expected it to turn out. But then looking back, it's like the best picture you ever had, or the best experience that you never saw coming. I love those stories.
Because it's real. We can all relate to it. Because wait, how many of us are actually curated all the time? Not me. Not me. It's interesting because I'm writing an article for our blog right now about kid-friendly hotels. We stayed at a fantastic one. And I was talking to my husband, and I said, oh, I'm going to ask them at the front desk if I can take a picture of a room that is still nice and neat, like no one's been there yet, just so people can see what it looks like. And he said, well, why don't you just take a picture of our room right now? I'm like, this is a disaster. Like, we had clothes out, snacks all over the counter, a dirty bottle sitting in the sink. But then I said, no, I can't do that. And he goes, honey, this is what traveling with a toddler is like.
That's real life.
I was like, I said, and I stopped and I looked around, and what is my daughter doing? She's running up and down the hallway, having the best time. I don't know why she's running, but she's running towards something, back and forth. She burned herself out. She had the best time in this hotel. And I realized, this is a core memory for her. Is she really going to remember, oh, we were at this hotel? No, but she's going to remember, hey, I loved traveling with my parents. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about the feelings that they have. Yeah. So did you use that picture of your room? I'm
going to. I took a picture of the room, and I am going to use it. So when you all see it, you can all know I am a mess when I travel. And I used to be super neat before, baby. Everything was all put away nice and neat. Yeah. Like no one even stayed in that room. But I can't do that now.
No. And if you want to see that blog, it's at pearlsofmotherhood.com. That's our website. And I look forward to seeing that picture. That's awesome. I love the imperfection. It's so funny. I've always been like a perfection freak. clean freak, all this. My husband's the complete opposite. And he's actually the one that's kind of taught me this over time. He loves the imperfections, like even in me as a person.
Yeah.
He loved that. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you're lying to me. But it's such a good, that's exactly what life is. Nothing in life is perfect. Life is about imperfections.
And that's the beauty. My husband's the same way. He loved the imperfections about me more than the perfections. And there were very few perfections. So I was very fortunate that way. But that's where the beauty lies, right? It's in the imperfect moments. So if you read this article and you see my picture, post yours. Let's see what your room looks like.
Yes,
come join me. Come join us in our imperfect hotel rooms.
That is just fabulous. Yeah. Yeah. So don't feel so much pressure. Like if you're somebody who doesn't, in your gut, you feel like you don't want to do the social media thing, but maybe you just feel the outside pressures while everybody else is doing it. And if I don't, then I'm not going to be, I'm going to be left out or whatever. Don't feel that way. Don't feel the pressure, because no matter what, you're going to feel pressure. If you decide to take that leap and do it, then you're going to feel all these other pressures that you don't see coming. So really at the end of the day, go with your gut, go with your heart, and do what you feel is best for you and your family. Because motherhood is not about proving anything to anybody. It's all about raising happy, kind, resilient humans. And so no matter what you choose, posting, staying private, or, somewhere in the middle, you're doing what's best for your family. And that's what matters. As long as you're mindful about it, as long as you care about, your family's
well-being and end game.
Yeah. And their opinions about it, then I think that's what matters most. And you know what? We're still figuring this out. We don't have all the answers. We're still learning as we go, just like you. So we would love to keep the conversation going and chime in. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. I would love to know why you do what you do, why you do post, why you don't post, if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. Give ourselves grace, and we'll support each other no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening to us at Pearls of Motherhood. Please feel free to contact us at pearlsofmotherhood.com and email us at ideas@pearlsofmotherhood.com. We're also on Instagram at Pomcast. That's POMCASTS. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode or any future episodes. After all, we are a podcast for all moms, and we'd love to know what you'd like to explore. New episodes will drop once a week on Friday, so stay tuned for more fun and more pearls. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Bye.